In 1223, two of history's greatest generals appeared on the eastern edge of Europe. Their names were Subutai and Jebe, and they commanded us small but lethal Mongol force. They were not there to invade. Not yet. They were scouting, but what they did next would become Europe's first terrifying taste of the storm that was coming from the east. This was more than a raid. It was a prelude to a nightmare. After completely dismantling the powerful Khwarezmian Empire in Central Asia, Genghis Khan had given Subutai and Jebe a new mission, a grand reconnaissance in force. Their mission was to ride west, to map the lands and peoples beyond the known world. They led their army on an incredible journey over the treacherous Caucasus Mountains, a feat few thought possible. On the other side, they found the vast plains of the Pontic steppe, home to the Cumans, a powerful confederation of nomadic warriors, much like the Mongols themselves. After some initial skirmishes, the Mongol force routed the Cumans, who fled in terror, seeking refuge among the princes of Kievan Rus. The Cuman Khan, Cuman, came before the assembled Rus princes, including the powerful Mstislav, the bold Mstislav of Kiev, and desperately begged for their help. Ewarne them. Today they have taken our land. Tomorrow they will take yours. His warning struck a chord. The princes of Kievan Rus, a loose federation of states in what is now Ukraine and Russia, were often at odds with each other, but the threat of a new unknown enemy from the steppe was enough to unite them. They saw an opportunity to not only help an ally, but to also crush this mysterious invading force and seize glory for themselves. A grand coalition was formed, gathering an army that some sources claim numbered over 80,000 men, comprised of heavily armored knights and infantry from dozens of principalities, along with their Cuman allies. The Rus army was a formidable sight. They were confident, perhaps overconfident. They believed the Mongols were just another band of steppe raiders. Easily crushed by their superior numbers and heavy cavalry, they marched east to meet the threat head-on, completely unaware of the kind of warfare they were about to face. They thought they were the hunters. They were wrong. As the massive Rus army advanced, the Mongols did something unexpected. They reached 9 long days. The Mongols pulled back, drawing the eager coalition deeper and deeper into the steppe. This was a classic Mongol tactic, the feigned retreat. It was designed to stretch the enemy's supply lines, exhaust their soldiers, and, most importantly, shatter their command structure and unit cohesion. The faster, lighter elements of the Rus army surged ahead, eager to catch the seemingly fleeing Mongols, while the slower, heavier infantry and supply wagons fell far behind. The coalition army, once a unified force, became a long, disorganized column, vulnerable and exposed. Subutai and Jebe were leading them into a perfectly prepared trap. Finally, near a small river called the Kalka, the retreat stopped. The Mongol vanguard turned to face the exhausted and overextended leading elements of the Rus army. The trap was sprung. Suddenly, from the flanks and rear, fresh Mongol cavalry, who had been hiding in wait, slammed into the surprised Rus forces. Mongol horse archers unleashed a relentless storm of arrows, sowing chaos and panic. The sheer speed, coordination, and ferocity of the Mongol attack were unlike anything the Rus had ever experienced. Their heavy armor, so effective in European warfare, was of little use against the disciplined, mobile Mongol warriors who swarmed around them. The battle quickly turned into a massacre. The Cuman cavalry, who were in the vanguard, were the first to break. Their panicked flight crashed directly into the advancing lines of the Rus princes, throwing the entire army into disarray. The coalition's fragile unity dissolved in the face of the Mongol onslaught. Unit after unit collapsed and fled, while some princes, like Mstislav the Bold, managed to fight their way out and escape. Others were not so lucky. Mstislav of Kiev, who had commanded the rear guard, had not even reached the main battle. He quickly fortified his camp on a hill overlooking the Kalka River. For 3 days, his men held out against relentless Mongol assaults, but Subutai, a master of siege warfare, diverted the river to cut off their water supply. Thirsty and demoralized, the Kievan forces eventually surrendered after being promised they would be spared. It was a promise the Mongols did not keep. In a chilling display of power, the captured Rus princes were bound and placed under large wooden planks. The Mongol commanders then held their victory feast on top of these planks, crushing the princes to death beneath them. It was a brutal, terrifying message to the world. After this devastating victory, the Mongols simply vanished. They turned their horses east and rode back to rejoin Genghis Khan's main army, their reconnaissance mission complete. The battlefield on the Kalka River fell silent, littered with the remnants of one of the largest European armies ever assembled. For the Rus, it was an incomprehensible disaster. For the rest of Europe, who barely registered the news from the distant east, it was a battle they didn't even know had happened. But the Battle of Kalka was not an end. It was a warning. Subutai now knew the lay of the land, the political divisions, and the military weaknesses of the West. 17 years later, the Mongols would return, and this time there would not be scouting. The nightmare for Europe was just beginning. Thanks for watching. If you want to learn more about this period of history, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more.